numbers were anything different, I would be worried about the American people.
Unfortunately for Donald Trump, in this poll, the independents look a lot more like Democrats.
How are you taking it? How is it?
I mean, we'll see.
We've got another CNN panel to hop into covering the economy as the public turns against Trump. So if you can take a moment, like the video, it helps us out a lot, helps our channel grow, and let's hop right into the discussion and see what's going on.
If you are trying to figure out how do I sift through all these numbers, I always find it instructive. Do independents look more like Republicans or like Democrats under the hood? And unfortunately for Donald Trump, in this poll, the independents look a lot more like Democrats on the question of, has Donald Trump's policy improved U.S. economic conditions? Republicans, 63% say yes. But for everybody else, independents, it's only 17%. Democrats, it's only 3%. We know that's going to be low. But that's where I think the real issue is. The second problem is on intensity. You were talking about enthusiasm, optimism. When you look at Republicans, only 7% of Republicans say they're enthusiastic about what Trump's doing on the economy. They're looking to their president, who they voted for, and saying, I'm going to need you to tell me a little bit more about where this is going.
Well, they're still looking. I mean, we've had an organ transplant in the Republican Party. The new organ is tariffs. This has not been part of the body Republican. And so Republicans, I think, are still...
How are you taking it? How is it?
I mean, we'll see.
The timid little "we'll see" at the end from Scott Jennings might be the most tacit admission I've ever heard him give. Literally no one can defend the chaos that the tariffs have brought. Nosediving the market only for him to walk them all back with 0 deals, claiming he has 200 deals. That's more deals than there are countries. Lying about having talks with China only for China to call him out. I mean, it's really bad. Like, there's no defending it, which is why his economic numbers are at a historic low. If you look at those among the middle, those who won Trump the election largely by voting in hopes that a change in party would bring economic change, they're historically unhappy with this policy so far, with his own party historically unenthusiastic with his own policies as well, which makes the election day gloating from MAGA even more funny in the scope of like what their political acumen is, right? Because Democrats have outperformed them in every election since 2016, objectively, 2018, 2020, 2022, and 2023 special elections. Republicans then narrowly beat us in 2024, albeit in a clean sweep, but beat a candidate running on 3 months with Trump's 2-year campaign. And they use that to pretend, well, Democrats have no future, their party's dead, it's over for them, only to torpedo their electability within 100 days.
If these numbers were anything different, I would be worried about the American people. We have been on this stage multiple days. Oh my gosh, my 401k this day, the stock market. Of course, people are not going to like what Donald Trump is doing right now. To Chuck's point, yes, this was his blue chip issue, right? That he's supposed to be the economy guy, and people are scared to death. They can't afford things. Their 401ks are going down. They don't know what the plan is. Tell me a little bit more, but instead it's just, oh, polls don't matter. I would be surprised if the numbers were any better. Now, first week I heard a lot, oh, it's just his first week. Oh, now we're on the eve of 100 days. If this administration does not change course, maybe not on the policy, I think the policy is bad, and many economists think it's bad too. But if they do not start explaining to the American people how to get on the other side of this nervousness and anxiety, I bet you those frontliner Republicans will start to distance themselves from Donald Trump too, because these are not numbers that you can win in a midterm.
It's extra bad for him politically because the correlation ties directly back to his own policy. He can't blame it on Biden. Biden left inflation under 3%, consumer confidence and spending going up. Wages had outpaced inflation for almost 2 years. Prices were coming down. GDP was strong. The stock market had record close after record close. And Trump came in and within 90 days spiraled the economy into uncertainty it hasn't felt since COVID, into market collapse that it hasn't felt since COVID, which is what lost Trump the election in 2020, mind you, where, if anything, I think 63% of Republicans saying, well, he's doing good on the economy just shows how cold-brained and brainwashed they are. They would literally justify anything at this point to see an objectively declining economic situation and sentiment and be like, that's awesome, bro, keep going.
He took ownership of this economy arguably before he had to. You know, I'm old enough to remember when Barack Obama was blaming George W. Bush for the economy for 2 years, and he kind of got away with it. George W. Bush was able to sort of say, hey, you know, I inherited a recession from Bill Clinton type of thing. You kind of want to own, and he instead, the tariff announcement, and that's why I've described it kind of like what Afghanistan did to Biden. That was his best subject as far as voters were concerned. And you messed up that, and this is with Trump, this is his best subject, and you messed up this, This is why I think it's been so catastrophic to him politically.
Not only with the announcement of the tariffs did he own this, but just on how he ran on these vague promises that he would instantly fix the economy and bring down prices and we'd see a manufacturing boom and it would all happen on day one. And he did this because he doesn't actually have the intellect or the policy to sit and actually speak about his legislative plans for extended period of times, which is why no MAGA could ever point out any speech where he ever did that. So he instead went the snake oil salesman route, which it worked for him. It won him the election, but it's backfiring now that he has to actually deliver on those promises. And it turns out everything he promised was a lie, and everything he's trying is turning to fire. The funniest part, had Republicans elected anyone else, Nikki Haley, Ron DeSantis, or had Trump just ran like a normal candidate on policy rather than culture and pretending everything was the Democrats' fault and he would snap his finger like Thanos and fix it, the American people would probably give him a lot more grace at this point. Like he said, it worked for Obama, it worked for George Bush, it works. But, well, I guess except for the fact that, of course, his tariff idea alone that he owned single-handedly changed the trajectory of our market and economic field, but it's entirely on him. He is really bad at this.